as you're all coming in, let me know if you can hear me and if the music is too loud. Take a few deep breaths as we're coming into this place, this space. Beautiful. Just allow. You're deeply connected with your body, your vehicle. And receive this gift of this time, of you, of this time together. As we're waiting for a few more people to coming in, and then we can contain this energy. So feel free to close your eyes and fully calibrate with the frequency of the room. This is a masterclass for mid-year recalibration and be the frequency of wealth. So sink into that energy. This moment, your mission, what are you here to do? Feel your heartbeat. Feel your spirit. And maybe hold a couple of intentions as what you would like to get out of this session. Any limitations you hold, you're ready to break through. Anything that you believe that you may not have what it takes. Maybe it's time to release that. Can you hear me better? I'm a little bit further from the microphone. Maybe that's why. Okay. We're here. So excited for today. A lot of familiar faces. Anna, Carrie, Joanne. Hi. Lily, Mel, Oxpower. Wow, I love that name. Sarah, Susan Daly, welcome. Wendy and Dee, welcome everyone. Who is, I think there is a couple of new people here, which is wonderful. Let's get started. Oh, someone is in the pajamas. That's okay. That is all good. Let's jump in. Let me lock the room so we won't be disturbed. Hello. So for those of you who have not been in my masterclass, my name's Grace New, and my expertise and specialties is to decode your sacred message in your destiny chart. And in my world, there is no bad charts, only bad interpretation and bad application. And this is where I give the power back to you so you can take charge of your destiny. And so before we dive into all the insights, I want to quickly share my journey. And for some of you who have been in my class before or who have studied wealth alchemy with me before, you probably know some of these stories. But for all of you who are new here, I want to share some of the highlight to show you, to use my own experience to show you that why I call my own destiny chart is the golden compass. Why it actually really highlight a certain point where I really feel confused and not sure what to do, where I actually draw strength from it. So as you can see that I was in the 16-year corporate job in media agencies before, where I was under the code of the direct wealth, which we'll talk about that later in the masterclass. And as my 5-year luck pillar change, which was influenced by the fire element, which indicated transformation, I start to sense this unsettled feeling. I feel I just can't really retire at this job. I can't be here for another 10 years. I just can't see myself there. So the energy really pushed me and really asking me to go or unfold or take another path. And this is where it gets really interesting that as I quit my job after the long time hesitation, 18 months later, and I set up Feng Shui Serenity, and I've been going through rapid growth and fast forward up to 2020 and 2021, I changed to another 10-year luck pillar, which is major for me. And that 10-year luck pillar show up in my wealth creation archetype. That is the visionary. And that is show up as the indirect wealth. And indirect wealth is this energy that is, unlike the direct wealth, is being represented by the normal job, salary, but the indirect wealth is really untapped wealth. It has this infinite possibilities where suddenly I feel, well, I no longer settle just to be a business owner of Feng Shui Serenity. I want to step into this entrepreneur that I can really help a lot more people and create my own wealth journey. And this is, it just gets accelerating, it gets exciting, but of course, like everything else, there is going to be up and down. And this is where the key elements I want to show you through my journey at this part is the direct wealth and indirect wealth. It really, because the indirect wealth is the number one sign when we're looking at the chart, that whether you are basically no longer settle for the corporate job. And some people and corporate job can be quite beneficial for them. And there's this is not the call for you to all quit your job, but it really depends on what the codes in there. And the indirect wealth is really showing up is a sign for entrepreneurship or for you basically running your own business. Okay. Now, the part one, I want to calibrate to the universal energy. Why this first? So this masterclass has 3 parts. The part one is calibrate to the universal energy. The reason is being like every time I go to Feng Shui consultation, the first thing I look at is not the home, but the external environment, the broader environment. So this is important that we know what the energy is moving around us. So we can best conserve our energy. We can move with the energy flow. And this is why every month I do the energy forecast as well. I tune into the monthly energy chart. So for this yearly energy key themes or the trend, first, let's look at the 2022 yearly chart. So when we're looking at the yearly chart or as your 4 pillars of destiny chart, your personal chart, it's the same. And for those of you who don't know how to read the chart, it's really easy. So the reason it's called the 4 pillars of destiny chart because it contains the year pillar, the month pillar, the day pillar, and the hour pillar. So when we're looking at this chart, when we're looking at 2022, what we see in 2022, I covered this before, is we look at the key elements anchoring everything down here is this, the element is sitting in the day pillar on top. So it depends on what this element is, it deduces what the wealth element is in relation to. So for example, in 2022, here is the young earth, the wealth element then becomes the water element. So as we can see, the water element is showing up in the month, in the year, and it also showing up underneath in the day pillar. So for at this stage, don't worry about whether it's in water or young water. All you need to know is the dollar sign here that shows up as wealth. So what does that actually telling us? What is this 2022 yearly chart is showing us any insights? So before we dive into the insights, first of all, let me teach you a couple of things within the charts is how we read it. So if you draw a line in between looking at this yearly chart, the year and months will be representing the first half of the year. So now, when we're looking at the second half, we're going to specifically look into here. So second thing that I want to teach you from the charts reading perspective is what is showing up on top is what is actually on the surface, what you can actually see at face value. But sometimes this can be an illusion. Sometimes this can be what people hyped about, but is not the truth. When it comes to personal charts, and I'm going to show you how you can interpret this as well. But coming back to the 2022 yearly chart. So in the first half, now you know how to read this chart. In the first half, there's a lot of money talks there. There is a lot of wealth being thrown around. But is this wealth substantial? Is this wealth grounded? Does this wealth have substance, have foundation? And if you have attended my 2022 Year of the Tiger Masterclass, that you will know I mentioned that there is no metal element in this yearly chart. And as you can see, there is no metal in here. So metal is the mother element of the water, which is the wealth, which is the money in 2022. That means this money has no foundation. This money has no source. It's superficial. It's an illusion. So many people feel they have been really busy working, creating their wealth, but at the end of the day, in their bank account, when they actually do their thumbs, there is actually not that much money there. In our economy, this is inflation. There are so many things showing up, but is it grounded? Is it solid? No, it's not. So, but what is actually happening in the second part of the year is you will see this money sitting underneath. This money is not showing up, but has substance. Although it is still in 2022 and there is no metal, but this wealth is something that you can acquire. If you have the tools, if you have the skills, you can dig it out. You'll be able to create that wealth. So this is the number one trend of real wealth opportunity lies in the second half of 2022. However, there is a condition, and I'm going to show you. The condition is the competition is going to be fierce. Why? As you can see, the self showing up in the day pillar on top, heavenly stem, and there are so many the same elements showing up. These are all the people fighting for the wealth hidden here. It will up to the ones who have the skills and tools to be able to obtain this wealth. So second half, there is a real wealth creation opportunity. But this is the time to test how solid you are, how much you know who you truly are, how much you know what is your true gift and talent, what are your true superpowers, so you can showcase them. You can create wealth from nothing. Now let's talk a little bit about your own chart, and I want to show you this. So one of the chart inside I have already mentioned is what is showing up on top usually is superficial. And the highest value usually is hidden beneath. So let's see your chart. Your 4 pillars, this is your 4 pillars of destiny chart. If you have one, it should be looking something like this. So most of you probably know about the Chinese astrology is you were born in year of the dragon or year of the tiger or whatever the animal signs. But when we actually really dive deep into the destiny chart, we look at your day pillar. And we call this your essence at birth. We call this your essence at birth. And this is sitting on top of the day pillar. This is the most important thing that you need to know, or the first and foremost thing you need to know. And if you have not have a good grasp of what this is, I would invite you to dive into the link that I have shared already in the email so you have received. There is a very short course that you can dive into to listen. What is the essence of your essence at birth? What is the key attribute? What is the energetic impulse? What is your intrinsic energy? And this is what I teach in Wealth Alchemy. And this is in module 1 and 2. We spend a lot of time to lay a really solid foundation that will teach you who you are as an energetic being. This is the start of building this beautiful relationship between you and yourself. You get to know you. When you're trying to create money and wealth, don't forget the main thing is you. This is the biggest asset, right? You need to know you. Before you build this relationship with money, build the relationship with yourself first. And then every single other relationship will be a reflection of that. So, as I mentioned, what is actually showing up in your chart, like the young earth, the yin earth, young wood, and yin earth, apart from your essence, all these 3 other elements here They are showing how you show to the world. What is your skin color? What is your hair color? What is the color of your eye? And what is you usually show to a stranger when you first talk to them? And as we move into the earthly branches, this is where your closest family and friends would know you, who you are, what is the true you about. So that's one layer deeper. And as we are digging another layer deeper, and this is your hidden talent and gift, your superpowers. But these are buried underneath this animal's belly. See, within the dragon, you have the young earth, yin water, and yin wood. Within the yin earth, you have the yin earth, yin fire, and yin wood. So all these elements, what they represent in your chart matters. In fact, when I read your chart, I mostly read the hidden part because this is what other people don't see. This is what you don't see. You don't know what it is. And this is the gem. This is the diamonds. This is the treasure. Because they represent your true nature. They represent your subconscious, your innate DNA that you're not even aware yourself. And this is where these days, most of our healing journey, most of our consciousness is really about unravel within. It's about discovering me, us. This is the important part of the journey. And it is all showing up in your chart. And this is where you learn in the wealth alchemy. Okay, this is where we spend modules and modules to talk about it, because all these codes, these are your wealth creation archetypes. These will show you your investment choices. Why you invest in shares, not real estate. Why you invest in funds. Why you tend to invest in short term rather than long term. What would be the shadow that you need to move out of? Now, coming back to the yearly energy, trend number 2 is creating order to move out of the chaos. And why I'm saying there is so many changes. This is from the charts as well. When we read the Chinese astrology, this symbol, 7 killing, 7K, 7 killing, represents instability. So the instability, as you can see, is across the board. Apart maybe around September, October, it's 2 good months that energy are very stable. And in the next chart, I'm going to show you the 6-month energy. So 7 killing is basically showing, as they all hidden underneath, as you can see, it's across the board. It's actually create this change. It's demanding the change. It's rearranging everything in your life. Rearranging your money, rearranging your finance, rearranging your business structures. I have done so much rearranging this year. I sold my home. I'm looking for home. There is so many people are moving and rearranging changes. If you are doing this, even when you are amongst this, it feels unsettled. But let me assure you this rearranging is for a better landscape. This rearranging is actually setting up the broader vision for you. So move with it. Next year, you can slow down because this year is supposed to be moving. As you can see, we have 3 tigers here. Tiger is a traveling star, movement star. So move with it. But do you have the power and discipline to move with rhythm? To know when to radiating out, expanding, and when to contract and when to come home. That's the most important thing. Here are the 6 months, the next 6 months, where, as you can see, the 7 killing is showing up specifically in November and in February as well. So these 2 months need to be careful. Inflation will get worse around November and December time. There's so much layer into this, but these are from the top line perspective. I want to give you an overview, okay? And if we look at money and investment opportunities, we see money. But where are the real money lies? Now you know how to read it. It's in November, December, January. So maybe wait until November, after November, to see what is showing up, because that's the tricky points where the instability happens. And then you can rearrange December, January, rearrange them, creating money, expanding. But when you need to contract, by February. Okay, so this is, we use the chart to strategize your moves. This is when I launch my project. This is, I pick the time to do certain or make certain decisions within my business. When to move. This is at the yin and yang. You're going to have to dance between the yin and yang. You can't always go out there. You be cautious, but doesn't mean you do not move. You stop and you observe. You stop, you observe, and then you go take action. You take aligned action. And everyone's chart is very different. Okay. Trend 3. So Joanne is just asking if water is wealth element, when it shows up in November, December, and Jan, not likely to be potential for growth. When the water element or when the wealth element is showing up, Joanne, it means the opportunity is there. So with the 4 pillars of destiny chart, it is always showing us a capacity. It's always showing us a potential. This is the same when you're looking at your own chart. So anything I'm sharing here with you is really knowing that your potential, knowing how you can fulfill your full potential. And this is where at the start, I want to make it really clear is nothing is bad from the chart's perspective. It's really about the awareness is halfway of the healing. And this is where I like to, even when we're looking at the stability, or the instability is presenting opportunities. It really depends on how we see that. It presenting us the opportunity to rearranging. But what you need to do is to be cautious. Okay, so always realize that your chart is showing a certain level of likelihood and capacity and potential, and it is really up to you. And when we're moving into the part 2, this will be showing really prominently, okay? The trend 3, this is actually really a long-lasting trend, not just for the next 6 months in 2022, but this is actually showing probably, it's very much the trend for Feng Shui period 9 for the next 20 years, because Feng Shui period 9 is governed by the fire energy. And the creativity becomes the king, not information. Because you will notice in period 9, all we have is information overload. How you can actually filter this information that is useful for you, that is actually serve for your purpose based on your unique essence at birth, based on your high value gifts and talents. Creativity is king, is asking us to bring something, to create from nothing, because Feng Shui age 9 is really about energy. We are moving from creating from tangible, physical form to formless. We are moving from tangible to intangible. This creativity mostly is unseen, is created from your energy, from your knowledge, from your unique thinking, from your, the basically from nothing. This is what happened in the last 2 years. It pushed us inward, because when the external resources is limited, we are being pushed inward to explore what is inside of us, that wellspring, that inspiration, that uniqueness, that who we truly are, that essence. This is how you create in period 9. This is how you shine, because you'll be so different from everyone else, because that's the fire energy. And this is something I want to bring to you today, is the money wisdom. So when we start to talk about money and wealth creation, how do you feel? Like, how does your body immediately contract or expand? What do you see? Or actually is no longer about what you see. How do you feel? How do you sense? Do you sense the gap in the market? Do you feel this formless potential? Or do you only look at the visible supplies in your life? I don't have enough resources. I don't have a real estate behind me so that I can create more wealth. So the period 9 is asking you, 2022 energy is asking you to see beyond the form. Your wealth capacity is as big as you allow it to be, as big as you could possibly see with your third eye. This is where, when it comes to money, are you allowing the abundance and the wealth and the money energy to really flow it in? Or are you actually standing, thinking, there is a limit, there is, this limitation that you put on? That's what the key things that we really need to bring our consciousness. Okay. Now, the trend 4 is very much related to trend 3 is creativity. But not only we have to create, the path to wealth is to really show your original beauty. So there's 2 layers in this trend. Is number 1 is you're gonna have to come out of your shell and ready to showcase. Period 9, the fire energy is all about the beauty and illumination, because that's what the fire is all about. When we're in the darkness, when we see fire, that's beautiful. And that is just, illuminating and brings this vision, clarity. But you need to know how to communicate with the external world. When it comes to, for example, economy or commerce, or you are in a business, the trend 4 really is about packaging, communication, marketing, how you speak your truth. Is your voice is the tool for you. Your chart will show you. Okay? Or writing is your way, is your path to wealth, is your way to showcase your brilliance, your creativity. And if your wealth creation archetype is the performer, let's say, you might need a stage. You might need to get out of your comfort zone and then to really show your charisma to your audience. Because you have that level of magnetism, have you dared to step out to that realm that you have never been before? To really experience that, because that's your true talent. Okay? So the energetic deconditioning becomes so very important. That is going to separate the rich and the poor, because in period 9, the middle class is going to be shrinking. It is going to be the 2 extremes. For people who really get it, they will become exponentially wealthy, insanely wealthy. While people who are still stuck in period 8, using form to create wealth, they will find their energy becomes depleted really, really quickly. And this is where it's so important to see this level. And my mission is really to teach you, to guide you into this new energy realm, this new universe, why we need to recalibrate with the universal energy is because when we move with the energy, you'll feel lighter. You'll be upheld. Okay? And this is where your chart, there is no bad chart, but only bad guidance around your chart. So many clients came through because they had a bad reading. They feel really disheartened about their chart. And period 9, 2022 is giving you this reset point. Okay, to discover what is your true essence. Now, the part 2, now we have known what is actually happening in the external world, in this universal energy. The trend number 1 was the real wealth creation opportunity lies in the second half, which now you know that it's there for you to explore. But at the same time, it is also competitive. Trend number 2 is there is this change, massive change, moving us out of chaos. In fact, is to helping you to rearrange, reorganize your money stories, your money blocks. Trend 3 is to honor creativity. Information. If you only take what I share with you during this masterclass as information, the value could be very little. And I can say it now. If you don't take action, if you don't really take within to support your creativity, your creative expression. And most importantly, the trend 4 is to how to showcase that, how to shine your light. This is literally how to shine your light, how you shine your brilliance. Do not be like me, hiding behind the screen at the first start of the masterclass, and I don't even know why. Step out of that. Show your face, show your voice. Be who you truly are. Do not allow comparison to steal your vision, your power. Let go those questions, those questions that you do not feel safe to earn. You do not feel safe to be seen, to step out, to earn this new level. If you're running a business, you do not believe that you can actually earn that much. That figure scares you. This is what it's truly about, which is a beautiful segue to take us into part 2. How we can really anchor into this unique wealth code, your unique wealth code. And it's time for you to take out your birth chart. Okay? I'm going to do a better job in part 2 because now I can see you all. Maybe I can show you how you read your chart. Now, but before we dive into that, this is the thing. This is the yin energy flow creates wealth in period 9. The period 8 energy of form of the property, the real estate, you'll see all this expansion in period 8. In period 9, we really move into the virtual, the unseen. And this is, in this masterclass, I'm going to show you that, that see what others don't. Because it's people who see what others don't will be able to create this wealth ahead of the curve. So you do not want to wait. You want to jump in now at the start of the wave, because later it will become common general information. Now it's insight, it's strategy. Well, if you're creating your business, this will be very, very valuable because you need to know the yin energy flow. That's what it is. Everything to do with yin energy, everything to do with women, everything to do, you will see that people who are, that this morning I see someone is, talking about the womb wisdom. Anything to know, to help women to come back, to remember who they truly are, to come back to this temple, the healing, the shamanic practice, or any company out there is actually supporting the health and well-being, to support this yin energy flow rather than strive outwardly, the masculine energy. You will know this company will start to have a sustainability to create that wealth. So when you're thinking of your career change, when you are thinking your offerings, your product suite, your target audience, think of this. It's a power of tuning inward. Somatic practice will become very important as well, which I have added into my Wealth Alchemy course now. So you will know, psychologists, somatic body practitioners, all these people helping you to fully connect with your body, to truly understand who am I as this energetic being, is going to become very, very valuable. And I talked about this earlier. My mission is to give life to your destiny chart. So you do not think that your chart is not good enough. You're not good enough to create wealth. Okay? So I'm turning every shadow within your chart into brilliance. And here is the thing. And you do not have to work on all your money blocks, because we always hear this. That we need to remove our money blocks. And this is at the start of the masterclass. I also invited you to step into the realm that where there is no right or wrong. You do not see that is something blocking your money and wealth, but you see it is to transcend you into the life that you desire to be. This is important mind shift. This is important wealth consciousness, money consciousness. That what you are experiencing, what you are struggling at the moment is not stopping you, but to transcend you. It is your belief transcend all limitations. Okay, so let's talk about from your chart perspective. I didn't say money block, I said money reflection. So number one, money reflection. There is a certain, let's say, tendency of all of us at times that we feel we need to look left and right. And we always believe others is doing so brilliantly. And, that we fall under the spell of comparison, that we suddenly lose our power, our magic. So, and another thing is keeping up with Joneses is like, oh, I like to show wear my wealth. Or I like if she has this Chanel handbag, I would need to have one too, because I would be not left out in my social circle, whatever, so there is a certain tendency in some people's chart. And this is where I want you to turn your shadow into your brilliance. So first, let's look this scarcity in the eye and recognize it and honor it and owning it. How you see that is if you taken out your destiny chart, your essence at birth is on the left. So if your essence at birth is metal, and if your chart has a lot of water element, and if your essence at birth is water element, and you have a lot of wood element, okay? So on and so forth, you can work it out. So you now all know where to find your essence at birth is in your chart on top of the day pillar. That is the most important part in your chart. That shows who you truly are. That is your essence at birth. That is your intrinsic energy makeup, okay? So now you know that, and then I want you to look on this column to work it out. If your chart, including the hidden ones underneath, it should show you whether it's water, wood, fire, earth, or metal. Let's say if you have more than 80%, it falls on this column on the right, water. If you're a metal person, if you have lots of wood, if you're a water person, if you have lots of fire, if you're a wood person, lots of earth, if you're fire, lots of metal, if you're earth. These elements is your output. From the Bazi terms or Chinese astrology terms, we call the output element. It means you like to express yourself. But when you have too much in your chart, there is an imbalance in there. And that is okay. So don't fall into this is doomed shadow, okay? All we need is we need to turn this shadow into your strength. So first of all, realize every time your energy is going to lean out into others, you impulsively want to buy something because others has, you don't. Come back to self. Come back to self and ask, do I need it? Come back to self, to that center. Okay. And this is the number one step. But the second step is more empowering, is how you can turn this into an amazing skill. Because when you have that much expression, the output element, you are brilliant at talking to people. You are brilliant at showcasing your gift. What are you about to sell? To market certain things you're passionate about. So I want you to really starting to cultivate that creation, that creative expression, communication. But always, always have this dance between the yin and yang, this dance between the radiating out and come home to self, or before you radiating out to express, to communicate. Stay centered first. Know who you truly are. What is your purpose of communicating outwardly? Be very clear on that. Because you have a very strong creative expression output element. That's the expression element in your chart. Okay, so now you know, you'll be conscious. Maybe sometimes I'm talking too much, right? There is another little gem I want to share with you in your chart. The money reflection number 2. How much do you love your money? Every one of us want to have more money. No one wants to have less money. But how much? What is your words? What is your behaviors? Your actions cultivate this love relationship. You say you love money. What do you do to build this relationship? Do you pay your credit card bills always on time? Never pay interest. This is what I do. I'm a worst customer for the bank because I don't really pay any interest. I use the credit card. I will pay full amount before it's due. And if one time I actually miss it, I'll call them. They charge me $15 fee. I'll call them. They will reverse for me. I love my money. It doesn't matter if it is $1 or $15. I take care of my money. This is what you do when you want to build a loving relationship with your money. Some people do not even check at the end of the month. What if you run a business, you don't even know what is your monthly income is. Or some people just don't want to know what is their bank balance, or they just don't want to know. So do you say that you love your money? There is a discrepancy there. The energy is not welcoming money. Some people say they don't have enough money to do this and that, yet they spend a lot of I know a person who bought 30 dresses at the same time because it's cheap. Like they're $50 each or something. So she thought she just bought 30. But she doesn't really believe she can afford a dress for $500. So this is the innate money management skills. And your chart will show you the tendency. So let's have a look. When you have, or when you actually have little resource element in your chart, you might not have this innate money management skills, but I have good news for you, because you don't really need, I don't have resource element in my chart at all. My chart is really, really strange. I only have 2 elements. I don't have a resource element at all. But what you do is you cultivate it. Now, you cultivate it when you start to really build this loving relationship with money and wealth. You learn. But from your innate chart, you will see this. I'm a metal. I don't have earth in my chart. If you are water, if you don't have metal, or you have really little in your chart, you tend to lack of the investment, like a shrewd investor. You might not. But what does that say? That doesn't mean that you can never be. Because if you're determined to do what it takes, you start to do whatever the investment knowledge, build that knowledge, gain the wisdom, build your wealth consciousness up, then who would dare to say that your chart is actually bad? Plus, we always have our beautiful 10-year luck pillar here to carry us, to uphold us, because everyone will have all the element in their luck pillar. And your 10-year luck pillar is super important. And I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay, so this is to bring you awareness to know, okay, I might be lacking of this, so I really need to up my skills in here. And this is resource element, is all about education. This is where I learn. I go on university, I did my MBA, I did all this. These are the man-made resource element. If you don't have, you create some, you initiate some. Okay. So I want to show you this one. Let's have a look at this one. This is the key investment code. For some of you, you probably, if you're first time coming to my masterclass, you probably don't know this. You don't know your wealth code. Okay, so this chart, the following chart, is showing you what is your wealth codes, and there is 2 types of wealth codes. One is indirect wealth, and the other is direct wealth. And I'll explain in a second. But first of all, I want you to know, at least in your chart, do you have wealth element in your chart or not? And if you don't, again, it's not a big deal. All we need to know is to spot the opportunity. Divine timing sometimes is everything. And this is, I'm here to decode your chart, to tell you the timing. Okay, so for metal, your wealth element is wood. So it could be in wood or young wood. Water is the fire, in fire or young fire. Okay, so just check this. The right column is your wealth element. And if you have And it doesn't mean the more you have, the more wealthy you are. As I mentioned, your destiny chart simply showing you a capacity and a potential. And sometimes people have so many wealth elements in their chart, they can be distracted. They can be not focused. Sometimes it only takes one with the wealth element. The number of the wealth may show you the different source of income for you, but it doesn't show how rich you become, because it's ultimately it's up to you. Okay. So here are a few things within your chart. We have already known how much your chart can tell you. Now let's move into the part 3, which is access is a higher dimension of wealth. What does it mean? People came to me with the questions like, there are different type of people. And these days, I think less and less people asking me the question number 1, am I going to be rich? Because they know I'm probably, that I'm not the one to answer that. It's really about who am I becoming? Reverse the question 2 and 3, because when you know who you are to become, you will start to channel the guidance. What are you here to do? But of course, most of us first will ask, what is this my right job to do? What am I here to do? But let's anchor us into who am I becoming? And this is where your chart can show you so much. And this is where the goddess of knowledge and goddess of wealth. This is the story I love to tell. And this is the story where if you seek goddess of knowledge, the goddess of wealth will get jealous and will follow you wherever you go. This is where we do not seek wealth. We seek knowledge and we attract wealth. We're sitting like a Buddha, like Kuan Yin. We attract, we become magnetism to wealth. It's because we are tuning within. We're honoring that yin energy we talked about. Okay. So pursuing knowledge is a very important way from the chart's perspective to supplement your resource element or wealth. If you don't have the wealth or the resource element, seeking knowledge is the most important thing for you to build your wealth and investment. Okay. And I also wanting to explain to you from a very nerd chart perspective how the wealth energy is in fact a flow. This is where the more I dig into the chart, every day I'm learning this wisdom. If you're looking at this wheel, I have actually asked you guys to all download this before, and you will know your own will. What are you depends on your own self essence at birth. What is your output element is, what is your wealth element, what is your power, and what is your resource element. So this is what we call the 5 aspects of life. This is, in fact, is the wealth energy, showing you that wealth energy is a flow. This is the wheel of wealth. When this chi or this energy is transferring from one area to another in a flow, automatically your life is abundant and wealthy. Money is coming in. Earning is not an issue. Why? You can see this is the resource is what is supporting the self. When you acquire knowledge, you have a strong sense of self. When you have a strong sense of self, you are so anchored, you speak your truth with integrity, with creativity, with the uniqueness that nobody else can steal from you. So you do not compare with anybody else. You standing in your own light unapologetically. And that is creating the wealth. And the wealth, and this is an interesting part. The wealth, you will see the most wealthy people in the world, when they build a certain level of wealth, they start to wanting power. We see this all the time in the world. Donald Trump, all these people, after they've done building wealth, they start to acquire power. We want the equal power here for any of us who have built wealth, showing that power, showing that leadership. We want a humble power. But you can see how wealth creates power. Power also means discipline in life. So if you just starting out, you really need to use this power. If you don't have resources, you don't have wealth, what you have is your discipline, is your observation, is your consciousness. Use that to build your resources. And then this becomes a flow, this becomes a wheel of wealth. Creativity, that's why creativity is king to create wealth, not power. Power is after. And then before creativity is a strong self anchoring down. And here is another very, very, I would say the insight derived from the charts as well, is the indirect resource plus indirect wealth becomes most powerful for wealth creation in period 9. So let me explain to you what is the indirect wealth and what is the indirect wealth for those of you who actually don't know much about the chart. Indirect resources, first of all, I said, if you don't have resource element in your chart, you can create and you can initiate, okay? And this is where we build, we go into the university, we study, and that you do your education, and that is the direct resource. And this code is the DR. IR is the indirect resource. It's all about how you cultivate your intuition, how you connect with the consciousness, with the wealth consciousness. And there is another layer when it comes to investment, because indirect resource is the key thing we look for in your chart, whether you are an investor or master of investment or not. Because some of the quality of the indirect resource, because they are highly intuitive, they understand the pattern. They are able to see pattern and trend, so they can forecast. So they can go into share market, they will see. That's how they create wealth. So if you have a strong IR in your chart, maybe share investing is a good way, because you'll also be able to act really quickly and you can move this time. I think I saw someone said, oh, I'm loving this moving time. You might have a really strong IR in your chart because you're loving this moving energy. You act quickly. In share market, you need to act quickly, but you also, with the IR people, which in the wealth creation archetype is the mystic, they are also be able to see long term. That's why they can forecast. They be able to quickly correct their mistakes and think on their feet. So these are your wealth code. These are your investment code, all in your chart. So IR is best in your year or month pillar, anywhere. But like me, if you don't, it's not the end of the world. Because let me share with you of this. If you don't have that in your chart, I want to introduce you the concept of the 10-year luck pillar in your chart. So it looks like this. I want you to count from the right to left. I want you to count to the 6th 10-year luck pillar. This is when you have basically done almost like around one circle around the sun, almost around. Everyone's age would be different. This person is 54, depends on which year you change your luck pillar. Some people can be 59, but you will be around on your sixth decade, basically, in your chart. And this 10-year luck pillar is basically showing you what is your net worth. So when you ideally that you'll be building your wealth towards the 6th 10-year luck pillar, because this is where the major shift will happen. You want to be prepared for that. You want to make the most of it. No matter which luck pillar you are in. As I mentioned, the indirect resource and indirect wealth, they're important. You will see them in your luck pillar if you don't have it in your natal chart. Those are the time. It's for you to create money. Let me show you. This is my chart. This is precisely when I quit my corporate job. I didn't talk too much at the front about my journey. But this was when I quit my corporate job. There's IR showing up. That's my indirect resource is showing up. I started my own business. In here, I entered into the 50th luck pillar. Now you all know my age. So I've got indirect wealth in here. Indirect wealth. I didn't explain that, didn't I? So IW versus DW. And direct wealth represents a regular flow of income. That's precisely when I was here, earning a very stable, comfortable job, corporate job, salary. As I'm moving in here, I've got a 7K. 7K is disruptive, right? Changes. I quit my job. I started my business 6-7 years later. This is where I truly stepped into the entrepreneurship. The first few years in here, I was still finding my ways, feeling comfortable. But as soon as I stepped into this 10-year luck pillar, I don't know what has taken over me, this energy. The IW and the IR here is turning me into an entrepreneur. I learned so much. I cannot count how much money I have spent in investing in myself, in coaches to helping me. Because I don't even have a resource element in me, in my natal chart. This is my story. I don't have. I have always think if I have a good job, that's good. But as soon as I reach here, I just could not see myself retire in my current corporate job. And it was a high salary. It's because the energy doesn't lie. I moved with my energy. And I know this decade is going to be my wealth creation journey. And it is not at all about how much money to make. It's really about walking this journey, allowing it to unfolding, experiencing life. And most importantly, it's this self-mastery journey. Because we always have, there is always part of us is being unraveled. I would have never known to be doing a lot of things I'm currently doing, like talking to you guys. So this is what I'm going to say to you. At some stage, what you do best or what you are being known for can become the biggest blocks on your journey that stops you from creating higher wealth. It took me so long along here because everyone thinks I was crazy. The job was really glamorous. I have a 6-figure salary back then, 16, years ago. And yes, so, and when I quit my job, I didn't even know what I was about to do, but I did it. I invest in myself. I learned feng shui even before I quit my job. I learned the charts. There is so many things that you believe that you can never do. And I know now it is actually my strength. It is my true talent, and high value gifts and talent is my power. I didn't know I have it until after. So if you are in the zone that you think you could never have done this or that can never be you, don't speak too soon. Because as I showed you at the start, that your deep, deep talent is hidden underneath a need. It requires a little bit digging. It requires a little bit of cultivation. So there's so much of you, your brilliance needs to be unraveled. And this is where I want to talk to you about your wealth creation strategy, where I can help you with the Wealth Alchemy course. And it is literally open today. And this is where I want to invite you inside. And for some of my students already here, and it's a continuous journey. And I'm so excited. This round, we're adding in a community platform. And all I have just covered, you will learn them in more depth. And you will know your the wealth creation archetypes as well. Your wealth code. Resources is an entire module to talk about your 5 different types of resources. And we talked about love killer as well. And this is where during the creation of this course, this program, the 2 things that I distilled on my journey is really the spiritual alignment and the strategic vision, because that is my 10-year wealth creation archetype, the visionary. I am living my wealth creation archetype, or I'm trying to. But this time, I'm also adding in the body part, the body alchemy, not body part, but the importance of how we use this. Our body is our vehicle, is the vehicle for us to the path to wealth. We really need to fully engage with our body because there is a lot of cellular memories in there that we need to release. And this is where the platform becomes so amazing that we'll come together, we'll do, the body flow. We're going to do how allow our body to lead us. But besides this, we also have the monthly wealth portal activation. We also have the money wisdom Q&A time where you have any questions with your chart and we come together. So this is where I am inviting you inside. And there is people already inside of this round of the program, which is very exciting. So today, because of you have attended this masterclass, there is an exclusive early bird offer here. And this is a time to take action. This is a time to think that what do you do? Your every single action is create your destiny. And I trust you will know what to do. Okay, so for any of you who would like to join, there will be a link sent to you, exclusive to you, only to people who attend to this masterclass before it goes to the public, to the original price. Okay, so this will only last for 24 hours. Now, the last part of this masterclass, I want to do something really fun, and I haven't done it before. And this is an important feng shui practice, which is the I Ching divination. Some of you probably already know the I Ching divination. And this is basically based on the old classics called the Book of Changes. And these are the hexagrams. Have any of you done I Ching divination before? Type 1 if you have. Oh, good. Right. Okay, perfect. So you will know there is a little rule. So I Ching, when you, like any metaphysics or oracles, that we really need to have the respect. So before this masterclass, I did a meditation, and I also, before I cast the I Ching divination, and thank you for replying, guys. Before I cast this, the question I asked is, what would be the wealth and investment advice you give to the masterclass student for the next 6 months? So this is a question I ask. And there is A and B and C. I did 3. So I want you to now maybe take a couple of deep breaths and close your eyes and see what is the answer showing up for you. And the best way to think of this is not too far away. Like 6 months is good, but obviously I framed the question. The more precise the question is, the more accurate the answer is. So with you, if you have any intention, or if you want to just close your eyes and see what answer shows up, and just log it in, because and then type it in your chat box, so that you need to lock in the answer before I reveal. All right. Don't overthink either. Just allow it to show up. Oh, wow. So interesting. Now I can't wait to share this. So for those of you, or even if you're watching, even if you're watching the replay, you know that ideally you can log it in as well, somehow log it in. So then you are connected with that energy. That's what it is. Okay. So A, if you have chosen A, this is the hexagram of the organized, the discipline that we talked about. Isn't this interesting? It's the power element. I just realized as I'm now reading it, it's power element. Because look at the picture. This is the water underneath the rock, underneath the mountain. Is the contain, how you can contain this wealth. And if you know a little bit I Ching number 7 is the army. In Chinese, you can see this is the army, this is the teacher. So the vital resource that is available but hidden requires a little bit of effort for you to access. So the combination of that power and digging out of the resource. Okay. And some of the key words is the leadership, the art of the leadership. Because as I mentioned, it's a power element and the discipline. It's the inner power held by the acceptance of the current situation. And there is also a level of dedication and consciousness to it. So whatever you're thinking of investing, whatever you're thinking what you need to do requires a little organized discipline to dig out that resource. You have it. It's within there. It's within you. It's within your business. Okay? Oh, that was interesting. Wendy commented, there's all, the A was all yin line, mostly in line. There was one yang line. Yeah. So if you have chosen B, the I Ching divination for you is the overview, or I also call this the observation. This is a key thing. I have once received this card. As a matter of fact, when I moved into this house, my current house, I Ching divination is the observation. So every house you're living in also have the I Ching hexagram attached to it as well. If you guys interested, we can do another masterclass. But for you, if you have chosen B, this is really about the deep introspection, observation, and see things from the vantage point, from the macro perspective. It's all about this flying high, it's a bird view. So you see differently. You're not seeing on the ground level, you're starting to lift yourself up. You start to see from your higher self. This is the time for self-reflection, broader vision. You can take action, but do so after you deeply observed. And now if I reflect the time I spent in this current house, I have done so much self-exploration, self-reflection, and deep introspection. So if you have chosen this card, it's very, very nourishing card, this divination. This hexagram is a very, very beautiful journey. But again, bring it in. Take action when you're radiating out, take action, but also remember to come home to yourself. Come home to your core. Think of that yin energy. That's where is the wellspring. That's where the wellspring holds the infinite wealth. When you're taking actions of 2 or 3 actions, remember, because sometimes we get carried away. Remember to come home. Okay, most of you here actually chose the C, the great abundance. Such an expensive hexagram. This is a beautiful card. This is a beautiful hexagram. Because look, this is very colorful. This is a harvest time. It represents the unified power and its leader at its peak. It's a midday sun of clarity, insight, and progress. So this is the sign of acquire, moving forward, achievement, creating prosperity and abundance, transparency and openness. Go and fulfill. This is the time to collect what you have planted before. But this is where the I Ching is there's so much wisdom, because I Ching ultimately is also the foundation for feng shui as well, you know, for a lot of other Chinese metaphysics as well, the hexagram. There is always a herald that yin and yang. So the great abundance is the peak. You know, it's the overflow. But it also teaches you the hidden influence is you cannot be overflow all the time. Just like the last card was, you cannot take an action all the time. You need to come back and observe. So when you achieve, when you have this power, when you at your peak shining your light, always remember you need to adjust. And that is the hidden influence. Because when we say, when you reach your peak, that's the start of the opposite. So this is a time where we need to continue to adjust so we can stay in that rhythm. That's the only thing for the great abundance. There's always a hidden influence within the I Ching divination as well. So I think this is it. After the initial hiccups, we made it.
Thank you, Grace.
Oh, I'm so good to see some of your face. I really missed you guys. Oh, so good. Let me see all of you. That's so good. Right. We have actually not too bad in terms of time. And we have perfect. We have a few people here, and I have 5 minutes. And if you guys have any question, feel free to ask me. Oh, that's so lovely. Thank you guys to participate. Oh, Lily, Carrie, that's so good to have you. Mel, first time, not sure which Mel, but oh, so good you guys here. Great. All right, if no question, I am going to close this session, and I wish you guys traveling with your heart, with your desire for the next 6 months. Because I think no matter what the external environment it is, now you're fully aware and you're fully anchored into your own chart. I have no doubt that there is so much abundance is being created in the second half. So my best wishes for you to anchor in deeper so you can fly higher. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Grace. Thanks for everything.
Bye.
Bye.